Hey, I'm Kev, Mr. Curl, and welcome to Power Oversteer, the only motorsport show that can meet Mark Marquez around the circuit of the Americas. 1v1 me, bro. In this episode, we navigate to one of IndyCar's premier events, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. This weekend sees the 42nd edition of single-seaters tackling the normally sun-glistening Californian streets. A bit like Monaco and F1, it's not renowned for passing, but more for its reputation and bidding on the calendar as the top road or street course that the series visits. But just how much do we know about the event? Let's find out with some track facts. Back in 1973, motor racing fan Chris Prix dreamt of a race around the streets of Long Beach when working at a travel agency. Overshadowed by their neighbours Los Angeles and San Diego, Long Beach needed something to put it on the map. The dream became a reality on the 28th of September 1975 when Formula 5000, the flagship series for the Sports Car Club of America, put on the inaugural event around a 13-turn, 2.02 mile, 3.25 kilometre circuit. A mix of American legends such as Mario Andretti, Al Unser and Gordon Johncock went up against some well-known international names like Chris Amon, future F1 champion Jody Scheckter, and Brits Tony Bryce, Tom Price and Brian Redman. After qualifying and heat races, Bryce started from pole and duly battled with Unser and Andretti for the lead. However, they dropped out one by one. Unser on that 17 with suspension issues, Andretti on that 33 with transmission problems, and Bryce the next lap with a broken drive shaft. After starting fourth, Carl A. Haas Racing, which would become the legendary IndyCar team Newman Haas Racing in a few years' time, driver Redman inherited the lead and pulled away to win the 50-lap race by 30 seconds from Vern Schuppan's Eagle. Redman would go on to win the title ahead of Andretti. The next year, it became the first American street circuit at F1 to visit as the United States Grand Prix West. Over the next 7 years, the event would see Ferrari's Clay Regazzoni win the first 80-lap race. Then Andretti became the first American to win their home event in 1977. The likes of Carlos Reutemann, the Maverick Gilles Villeneuve, three-time champion Nelson Piquet, and fellow champions Alan Jones and Niki Lauda would all win the event during the F1 years. The final F1 race in 1983 saw McLaren's John Watson win from 22nd on the grid, which is still the record for the lowest starting position to win an F1 race from. Watson's teammate Lauda was second from 23rd, and completing the podium was Ferrari's René Arnoux, as he became the only driver to ever finish on the podium with a turbocharged F1 car around Long Beach. Thanks to rising sanctioning fees from F1, that sounds a bit familiar, Long Beach became a kart champ car event for the next 25 years. In 1984, Andretti won for Newman Haas Racing, and the combo will win 3 of the next 4 races, with only his son Michael breaking the streak in 1986. However, Al Unser Jr. is the king of Long Beach with 6 wins, as he got 4 on the trot from 1988 to 1991, then 2 wins with Penske in 1994 and 1995. Newman Haas Racing is one of 2 teams with the most wins around the Californian streets, as Sebastian Bourdais won 3 times in a row from 2005 to 2007 to add to Andretti's earlier wins with the team. The other team with 6 wins is Chip Ganassi Racing, including 4 wins in a row in the late 90s with Jimmy Vasser, Alex Zanardi, and Juan Pablo Montoya grabbed his maiden win in America in 1999. After the merger of 2008, Champ Car held its final race around Long Beach that year, with Will Power winning for KV Racing in the Panos DP01 Cosworth. Oh, I still miss that car. Since 2009, IndyCar has visited the famous streets, with Dario Franchitti winning the first event for Chip Ganassi Racing. Mike Conway and Takuma Sato got their first IndyCar wins here in 2011 and 2013, with Power and Conway winning again in 2012 and 2014, Ryan Hunter-Reay getting his first win with Andretti in 2010, and last year, Scott Dixon finally got his first IndyCar win around the famous streets. A lot has changed since that first Formula 5000 race, especially the circuit in the 80s. The current 11-turn 1.968 mile, just over 3 km layout came about in 2001. The race moved to spring, with F1 and has firmly established itself as an April race since returning to American single-seater racing in 1984. Now that record changed with the aero kits last year, as Penske's Helio Castroneves holds it with a 106.6294. The amount of series tack in the circuit has expanded, with Formula E racing around a shortened layout 2 weeks ago. Last week, Formula D drifted round turns 9 to 11, and this week, IndyCar is joined by IMSA, Pirelli World Challenge, Stadium Super Trucks and the Motegi Super Drift Challenge. The Grand Prix of Long Beach has endured for over 40 years, making it the longest running street race in America, and it is the largest event in Long Beach, with an attendance of over 180,000 over its 3 days last year. I think it's fair to say Chris Poot's vision has come a long way. Since Phoenix, the IndyCar world has moved as fast as a lap around the Tri-Oval, which leaves us lots of news to cover. Despite Honda's objections, IndyCar confirmed on Wednesday that dome skid plates will be on the cars for the superspeedway races at Texas, Pocono and the 100th Indy 500 next month. Manufacturers have also been given the option to lower the underwing sidewalls by 9mm. However, Honda's preferred option of strakes, blades that attach to the diffuser to help create more underfloor downforce, will not be allowed. Despite being written into the regulations for this year, major objections about the skids returning for the first time since 2011 have come strongly from the Honda corner since they first tested them in Fontana late last year. Last week, Chevrolet held a private test on the day before the official test was held at Indianapolis on Wednesday the 6th. Therefore, Penske and Chip Ganassi didn't do any running in the repeatedly halted afternoon session of the official test, as Marco Andretti was fastest on the day with a 223.427 mile per lap, ahead of teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay, who was fastest in the afternoon with a 222.047 mile per lap, and Penske's Simon Pagenaud, who had a best lap of 221.293 miles per hour. The cars in these tests were fitted with the curved plates attached to the bottom of them, which had about 6 times the amount of downforce compared to the 2015 configuration in a spin, slowing the machines down before impacting anything and preventing air to come up from underneath and cause the cars to lift off the ground. The addition of the skid sees the ride height raised by about 9mm, which means less downforce generated from the floor that must be compensated by teams with their wings, which adds drag and more dirty air behind the cars. The centre of gravity is also raised, which changes the handling, and in traffic means the cars are a bit more of a handful. This was a bad mess to have flare up just over a month from the Indy 500. Everybody agreed to this addition as a safety feature to help prevent what happened during practice for last year's 500 when Harry Cashineves, Joseph Newgarden and Eddie Carpenter all got airborne during spins. However, after on-track testing, Honda drivers such as Marco Andretti, James Hinchcliffe and Ryan Hunter-Reay have been vocal that taking away so much downforce has made the cars undrivable and potentially unsafe, so wanted strakes to compensate. IndyCar's Jay Fry's always stuck to his guns though, and nobody from Chevrolet seems to have any complaints. While I don't like the idea of the dome skids from a racing perspective, safety is the reason they were introduced this season. If the plates do as they are meant to in that aspect, then I can't have too many qualms. As Graham Rahal, then Paul Tracy in his classic style said, it's up to Honda to be competitive. Maybe there has been a political tug of war as Tracy thinks, but IndyCar hasn't buckled. You'll be interested to see the fallout from this, as Honda Performance Development CEO Arndt St. Cyr's comments to Racer Magazine seem to suggest an unhappy camp. Quote, the understanding we discussed was any downforce lost by the dome skid would be replaced by underfloor downforce using strakes. Our whole goal of the dome skids was to make this aerodynamically neutral for both manufacturers. If you start having to use other methods for replacing downforce, the extended sidewalls, those methods can have performance advantages or deficits depending on how your aero kit reacts to that method. The dome skid is a safety part, and you have to raise the ride height to use it, which for performance is the opposite direction you want to go. We wanted to make sure it did not become something that was a performance advantage, end quote. Meanwhile, Chevrolet's racing director Mark Kent was pleased with the reinforced ruling. A lot is riding on this year's 100th Indy 500, and I hope the changes to the cars don't mean we have any less of a spectacle than we had last year. On to news that's been a bit easier to go down. Miller Coors has become the official beer and cider of IndyCar in a multi-year deal. Through its Henry's Hard Soda brand, the brewer will be an associate sponsor and reigning winner when Pablo Montoya's Indy 500 car. In February, Miller Coors announced that Coors Light would be the official beer of the Grand Prix of Boston, powered by Log Mine, this September. Now the big question is who's going to be the official beer mat supplier. More month of May news has Andy Brown will engineer Matty Bravern's Prytech Team Murray KV Racing Technology program. The Brit started his racing journey at March Engineering in 1984 before having his first encounter with a Brabham in F1 as chief race engineer for Martin Brundle in 1991. The following year he crossed the pond and joined Galmer Engineering as assistant technical director, winning the Indy 500 as Gallus Racing with Al Unser Jr. in a car of their own design. In 1993 he became a founding member of Pac West Racing as chief engineer, where they enjoyed their most success in 1997 as the team won 4 times. He then moved from kart to IndyCar and Panther Racing as chief engineer, where he enjoyed even more success, winning the title with Sam Hornish Jr. in 2001 and 2002. A move to Chip Ganassi followed in 2006 as race engineer for the late Dan Weldon, before stepping back in 2008 to focus on R&D work. In 2011 he returned to the UK to start his own motorsports engineering company before working with Andrew Jordan last year in the British Touring Car Championship as the race engineer for the 2013 champion at 888. In short, he's had a long and successful career in motorsport and is a great choice and an experienced engineer for the rookie Brabham to have for the most important month of his long career so far. On Thursday, the Grand Prix of Boston announced it had signed and executed license agreements and a memorandum of understanding with the necessary City of Boston and state agencies, which is a huge step towards the race going ahead around the South Boston waterfront neighbourhood this year. All this means is that the Grand Prix of Boston assumes all the costs associated with the race with no burden to the taxpayer, not that fucking Wembley deal with West Ham. Assures the roads used will be returned to the same or better condition after the race, and protects the agencies involved from any unforeseen costs should the race not occur or fail to restore the roads to a satisfactory standard. It's been a bit ridiculous to see how much effort has had to be exerted to get this race to go ahead, but it's fantastic to see that all that effort is likely not to be wasted, and that the opposition to this event will probably get to see what they so vehemently opposed later this year. Finally, Graham Rahal and Sebastian Bourdais have new liveries for this weekend. Rahal's machine will have Penn Grade Motor Oil, who's also sponsoring the Indy 500, as its primary sponsor for the first time, and sees a more silver and black look for the number 15 Rahal Lemon Langan racing car. Rahal also announced a partnership with former F1, IndyCar and current Macau F3 team Theodore Racing for the Indy 500. Meanwhile, KVSH Racing have partnered with California Baptist University, which sees the uni be the primary sponsor in Long Beach, then become an associate partner for the rest of the season. The partnership also means CBU College of Engineering students get the chance to collaborate with the KVSH engineering team. The program allows 20 students access to the KVSH racing engineering staff, the driver and mechanics, so they can learn about engineering in IndyCar during the Grand Prix of Long Beach. Then during the month of May, students will assist the team's engineering staff with problem solving. What a fantastic opportunity for those students. Don't those Rahal and Bourdais cars look great? Now it's time for me to be Mystic Kev as we do some predictions for Long Beach. Looking at recent history, Long Beach is anything but predictable. In the last 5 years, 5 different teams with 4 different drivers have won the race, reflecting how competitive IndyCars become in the DW12 era and how important strategy and cautions can be in the race. However, this weekend we know it's going to be tough for any Honda driver to overcome a Penske or Chip Ganassi with an engine that's down on power compared to its bow tie brother. Therefore, I can see a previous winner grabbing the victory on Sunday. Scott Dixon is coming off a win in Phoenix and is the reigning victor of this race. The current champion was also strong at St. Pete until he ran into issues. No doubt Chip Ganassi have got over those overheating problems from the season opener though, and along with Tony Kanaan will be up there once again. In 20 years the Brazilian only got 1 podium at Long Beach in 2009, but was solid last year grabbing 5th and is coming off a great run at Felix. His buddy Helio Castroneves is the only Brazilian to win around the streets and the top level American single-seater when he won back in kart in 2001. The Penske driver has shown some great pace this year but struggled to manage his tyres in St. Pete and couldn't recover from tyre failure in Felix. However, his record around Long Beach is pretty good. Including the win, he has 7 top 10 finishes in 11 visits, including a podium last year. He also holds the current that record, and that could be gone this weekend. Thanks to who I think will win the race, Will Power. The Australian has 2 wins, 6 podiums and 3 poles in 10 races around the Californian streets. He grabbed pole for the first race of the season around the streets of St. Pete, despite suffering majorly from an inner ear infection and got a quiet podium in Phoenix. We all know about the 2014 champ's pace, and if he can start right at the front, he will be hard to beat, along with the likes of Montoya, Pagenaud and every Chevrolet-powered driver. I don't see he can rule any of them out. If he doesn't, it could be another horror race like last year when he ended up a lap down in 20th. That's why I don't have much hope for Honda-powered drivers to do really well in Long Beach. Yes, cautions and strategy can come majorly into play, but they just don't have the package to qualify right at the front, which makes it a lot easier in the race, with maybe a Hunter-Reay or Rahal just looking to sneak in to the fast six. It could be a great battle to be the top Honda driver though in the race between those two, Marco Andretti, Hinch, and maybe the AJ Foyt pair of Sato and Hawksworth, who are pretty handy around the street circuits. Also heading into the weekend, Honda and Chevrolet are tied at 11 wins each as engine manufacturers around Long Beach. This includes when Chevrolet won 7 in a row from 1987 to 1993, then Honda repeating that feat from 1996 to 2002 when Michael Andretti grabbed his 42nd and final victory. Since 2009, Honda has 4 wins to Chevrolet's 3, so there's lots to play for not just the drivers and teams, but the manufacturers as well. Let me know who you think will take the checkered flag on Sunday. Do you also think it will be a Penske party or Scott Dixon gate crash them once again? Could Honda be competitive and join in, or will someone else emerge out of nowhere and upset the odds? With no Mazda Road to Indy support in Long Beach, there is IMSA, the top North American sports car series, to follow this weekend. Ryan Hunter will be doing a double for the first time since Homestead 2009, as he will be going for the overall victory in the Visit Florida Racing's Corvette Daytona prototype. Good luck to him, and may we have a great race to talk about next week when I'll be back to with you. Stay out watching, and I will see you next time.